right. All right, let me know when you see it.
Yeah, all good.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for having me today. My name is Alexey Konosevich, and I would like to talk about blockchain asset registry, and actually to answer the question, why do we need a new property registry? What are the benefits and advantages of this kind of system, this technology? So first of all, I have to say that, so basically the idea to use blockchain as to develop a new property registry is not new. I mean, it's obvious, but from the idea to the actual implementation of it, there is a long path, and there are so many issues to address. And so the last 5 years I spent doing this research and developing the concept of a new property registry, new generation of property registry. And so here are two major papers that I recently published that explain these concept and explain how to actually digitize real estate on blockchain. And so far, I don't want to seem immodest, but so far it is the only systematic concept that tries to address all the issues that exist in this domain. Actually, trying to answer the question how to develop this kind of property registry. And so here are the main elements of blockchain asset registry. So before to answer the question, what are the advantages? Let's just discuss what are the major components of this system. So first of all is title tokens. So the blockchain is a kind of database, right? So if we call conventionally electronic records on these database tokens, why don't we use these kind of electronic records as records that represents property rights? So basically, it's not utility or security tokens that are backed with property or kind of legal promise of something. These are records, electronic records of property right records. The next element is obviously is digital identity. So basically, when we attach tokens to some anonymous address, probably it's not a good idea. So the component of digital identity addresses elements of identification, at the same time preserving privacy. So these are necessary protocols that must be implemented in this kind of systems. Two other protocols, digital authorities and smart laws, are designed to allow legal governance, or so to say, the presence of public authorities in this digital environment. Smart contracts, or the idea of model smart contracts, is the idea to streamline, to automate, and to standardize a lot of legal relationships, and to use these model smart contracts to run legal applications. And another component is the cross-blockchain protocol. So the idea is here is that we don't need actually to develop a new blockchain. I mean, there are so many good technologies out there, and so we just need to properly use them. And it's not the business, for example, of the government to decide which kind of technology we're going to use for the land registry, or which kind of blockchain. I mean, it's the good idea here is to have a fair, competitive market of different technologies, and so users decide themselves what kind of blockchain they want to use to create their tokens and to manage their property rights. So the basic idea here is that we don't need to change the current system, the current land title system, but we can propose it as an alternative system that runs in parallel to the current system. So one system, but two types of databases. And so people will be able to choose which kind of technologies they prefer to use. And it's not new actually for Australia, because having the old land system inherited from England, and then Australia 150 years ago introduced Torrens title system. And so it's not new actually to have two systems running in parallel. The only here is difference that these type of registry is still kind of Torrens title registry as well. So basically those who want to stay with the current bureaucratic system, they can stay, but those who want to enjoy all the benefits of managing their property rights on blockchain, running smart contracts, developing decentralized application and so on, they will have this opportunity to transfer their property rights to a new type of registry. So what are the advantages? Let's talk through use cases on this type of registry. Well, first of all, it's the idea of peer-to-peer transactions, which is obvious for blockchain. So the distinguishing feature of this system is that here users or owners have direct access to their property rights. So they can manage directly on the system, on the registry, running the transactions on this system, which is a bit different from now what we have. Even though having a conveyances system, we still interact through registrars, through conveyancers. It's different because here you just need your private key to run a transaction. So another distinguishing feature is that with this system, people just eliminate, they skip this intermediary as the registry. And so it's, as many of you know, it's called atomic swap, where you just change their title record for payment. So basically, here is the current system, how it works. You have to lock your payment first with the escrow account while doing all the paper and legal work, and then the escrow releases the payment when the title deed is done. And another advantage of this system is that sorry. Okay, sorry. So another system is that it eliminates or reduces the number of a lot of bureaucratic procedures that actually natively exist in the current system, and they do not need it in blockchain. For example, once you create your token, you need someone to certify. Well, that's the role of the registrar, to say that this record represents your property right. But then once it gets certified with the land registry, you don't need to go to the land office each time you need to commit a transaction. So basically how it works, Alice sends the token to Bob, and it keeps this connection with the certificate record on the blockchain. So they don't go to the land office again just to record it, because the blockchain is the registry itself. So once you commit a transaction, it's there. You don't need to record it elsewhere. So the idea of model smart contract is that it can help to streamline a lot of typical transactions. I mean, I myself, as a former legal practitioner, I can say that even though these legal relationships can be very complicated, there are still so many typical transactions and situations. So you don't need to design each time in this sort of solution. And it's in reality, lawyers are keep reusing their documents for various clients. They don't write these documents from scratch each time they have a new client. And it's so typical to have these sort of model documents and use them. And it's not new. There is another relevant domain where there is an approach of so-called reusable rules. So when you register a company, you don't need to write nowadays a constitution, a charter, and to do all the documents from scratch. So at some point of time, governments in the world decided, oh, we need to stop this practice, and you just need to allow people to create your companies and manage your corporate rights in a couple of clicks. So here is the same idea. So basically, to manage your property rights in a couple of clicks, and so you don't need to each time to hire a lawyer or conveyancer for these sort of things. It doesn't mean that you must not. It just gives you this flexibility. When it's not needed, you don't need it. But then you can, of course, hire any legal firm to help to manage your property rights. Another important thing that we can actually consider it as a part of this registry system is that once you get this public registry with property records on blockchain, then you can actually design public services as kind of applications on blockchain. So whatever you need to do with your property, build a house, you want to extract minerals, or you want to significantly change your landscape, these all services, public services, such as permits, concessions, and whatever you need to, any record that you want to attach to your property right, can be designed as a part of this system. One of the most probably interesting things having this system is fractional ownership. It's not new thing, actually. I think all countries, or at least all countries which I researched, have these kind of fractional ownership in various legal forms. And Australia is not that different. It's just there are various intermediaries or intermediate forms of having fractional ownerships, such as trusts, corporates, and some other things. So basically here with smart contracts, with decentralized applications, it's feasible to digitize all the legal relationships and put it in a smart contract, and so to help to facilitate relationships between co-owners. So basically one property, and then you can have whatever millions, for example, co-owners of these tokens, this property. Why it's interesting? Well, it opens a lot of possibilities in developing investment tools, first of all, and actually developing new markets. There are so many ideas out there how with the blockchain you can crowdfund investment property, how co-owners can pull together and invest into the property and manage their property rights. Unbanked mortgage, I'll go through it's in a couple of slides, and all these things actually is meant to increase the liquidity of property, especially if we're talking about investment property. Here is one of these scenarios. Say Alice has her land represented with land title tokens. She locks her title tokens into investment smart contract. So then people invest into this property, and then they develop this property. They build something on this land, and then once it's built, they create strata tokens. And at all the stages of this development, from the moment then they create this investment smart contract and investment tokens, these tokens can circulate in the economy. So anyone can buy and sell, meaning that they can enter these investment scheme and quit if they want to. So it creates liquidity to this investment. And then once it's built, they can then manage it through the relevant smart contracts running lease or selling these strata tokens to those who want to buy in, and so on and so on. I mean, there are so many ideas you can design within this direction. Another example would be, I call it unbanked mortgage. So here is the idea that, say, Alice wants to buy a house or a dream house, and so she creates a smart contract. She commits her down payment into the smart contract, and Bob does due diligence, basically saying that he verified and she checked if Alice can repay the debt. So once it's done, anyone can sort of invest into Alice mortgage, basically skipping bank as intermediate within this typical kind of situation. And so once she gets enough money to buy a house, she buys it, and then she just needs to repay the mortgage, basically paying back with the interest. Why is it interesting? So here the basic idea is that it increases, like I said, a liquidity of the property. Once you can easily to get into the this property and the mortgage relationships, then you can quit. You can change, for example, house, buy and sell. And there is so much headache for those who are within these relationships with the bank. So much headache when, for example, you need to go to another city, but you need to sell your property. So basically, with this system, one is streamlined and automated with the less transaction costs. You can literally extract your wealth from this property and to invest into another property and to change houses as if you just rented it. So here is an interesting idea that, so basically when you repay the mortgage, you accrue your wealth, your deposit, and it's like another way how to create value. So there are so many ideas that we, from the economic perspective, that these new system opens up. This year, I had a chance to submit these two papers, Blockchain Estate Registry, Digital Identity on Blockchain, to the Senate and speak before the senators, explaining the advantages of this system, how we can reduce bureaucracy up to 90%, how we can reduce transaction cost, and how the digital or digitized property rights can enhance the economy. And my recommendation, my actually proposal to run a pilot with the land registry was included in the recent report of the Senate, the Select Committee on Australia as a Technology and Financial Center, that was published in April 2021. They recommended that the committee, recommended that the National Cabinet consider supporting a blockchain land registry initiative as a pilot project for Commonwealth State cooperation on RegTech. So for this purpose, I, with some partners, initiated a project, or initiating a project. A few months ago, we registered a new organization, which is called the Australian Institute for Digital Transformation. One of major goals and major projects of this organization will be new generation land registry. So that's it. Thanks for having me. I think it's meant to be a questions time.
Thanks, Alex, for the nice presentation. Do we have any questions? Maybe if you can, or I can repeat.
Alexi, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Thanks for the presentation. It's very interesting to think about reduced costs on transactions and reduced bureaucratic overhead. Every time I've bought a house, I've always felt like it was a bit of a rubber stamp, and I'm not quite sure what I paid for. In your early slides, you mentioned that you have this vision for parallel registries. So one being the standard bureaucratic registry, and then the other one being a blockchain registry. And I'm curious, how would is there a pathway towards validity of the blockchain registry such that in courts or in public records, it can be, we can find ourselves in a situation where that is seen as a ground truth for the ownership of a property. I can imagine that there would be some debate about the validity of a blockchain-based registry. You have any thoughts on that for me?
Yeah, right. So this was one of my major focus, and this scenario and other legal scenarios, having disputes. What if someone dies and we don't have actually access to the record? You know, is you asking? I guess you know all these things. So basically, when you lose the private key, you can get access to the record on the blockchain. So here is the basic idea that we need to have this component of legal governance, and all these kind of ideas that blockchain will decentralize everything. We don't need anyone. I mean, it's a very interesting concept, but it's not realistic. So the basic here, the idea is that there will be authorities present in this digital environment. Basic thing what we need to do at least is to have registrars on this system as well. So like I mentioned, one system, one land registry system, one regulator, but two databases. And so to address these problems of dead-end situations on the blockchain, I specifically designed a couple of protocols that address these. But the basic idea is that, well, first of all, what we begin with, we create the owner creates token, but we don't know, does this token represent the actual right? I mean, it's just a record on some public database, right? So the next step, what he or she does is the registrar publishes his record on his end on the same database, saying that believe this record, it actually represents the property rights. Mm-hmm. But Alice having under control her token, she doesn't need to go each time to the registry office. She can manage it through her private and public key. But then when something happens, for example, Alice lost her key, right? So what do we do? She will go to the registry office and ask on their end to update the record. So basically to publish a new record that says that this token is not valid anymore. So here's the basic idea. So if you created if someone creates a smart contract and then dies, how do we get access to these to these tokens? The smart contract doesn't know if the person died, right? So we need someone third to trigger these inheritance procedure. So basically, that's the role of the public authorities on the system. So they manage their records on their end. And so the title token represents the actual property right, and the certificate record represents the legal status of the property right. And so basically, that's why they do not intersect with each other. I independently manage my property rights with these tokens, but the registry office can update things on their end.
Okay, so it's, in a sense, it's a fail-safe, and it also is an opportunity for, for the typical process, a bootstrap process, to be built on top of the existing registry.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You're right.
Well, thanks for your insight. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Okay, I think that